Okay, everyone, so we're going to be talking today about Black Wall Street. And before I begin, we're going to be talking about the community that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And, something that I recently learned is that there were other Black Wall Streets, actually. I believe one in North Carolina. But today we're going to be focusing on the one in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And if y'all like this content, let me know. Maybe we could talk about other communities. So before I even get into the main content of this video, I also want to say that this topic is a little racially charged. It's talking about the history between black and white people in this community in Oklahoma, and for one, I am not here to come at anyone's neck at all. I'm not here to say white people did this terrible thing and they deserve like the badness for it, or whatever. I'm really trying to one, just state facts, try to convey everything that I learned about the situation. And one, I could look at this as a teaching point for me, for the community, and most importantly, seeing how we can learn from this past tragedy and how we can apply it towards the future, which is the most important thing. We can't go back and change it, but we can definitely learn from what happened and make a better society. So to begin, a Black Wall Street was an actual place in this community called Tulsa, and it was essentially just a very prominent community full of black people. And this place had bars, hotels, barbershops, a movie theater, and just actually a bunch of things. There were about 6 airports in Oklahoma, and like a few of the airplanes there were owned by black people. And this was huge, especially because this is in the 1920s and 1915, and this is a very racially charged time in America. And so to give some context on how this place came to be, a man named O.W. Gurley had moved from Arkansas to Tulsa and purchased about 40 acres of land. And he had been intentional to only sell this land to black families and black entrepreneurs. And it was kind of it was a huge success. It was like a dreamland of black people just taking ownership of their lives and becoming self-sufficient and starting their own community. Also important to really understand why this came to be, and a lot of that is because of the laws of the land at this time. One, back in 1910, it was illegal for blacks to buy from white stores. This is the time frame we're working with right now. And that there was the laws, these Jim Crow laws. There was the laws that was really separating people. There was segregation itself separating people, and then there was just a racially charged mindset of people to segregate and not be together. So that's a very important thing to understand here, because I definitely think it was a fact that these black people, they didn't do this out of choice. They weren't allowed to integrate with the rest of the community. It's illegal. It was illegal to do that. So they had to start their own community. This was another big thing happening right now is the rise of the KKK at this time. And so again, we are going. This is a extremely racially charged America right now, and so people were fine. This was just a open area in Oklahoma, and one man decided, hey, I'm gonna do something for my community and build it up and start this place. And again, it was extremely prominent, and it took off, which brings us to kind of the history behind it. So again, this place was extremely wealthy. There were there were several individuals whose net worth was well over, those of the other people in the community, and especially, the white people who lived in the cities nearby. And so what really happened here was the tragic history of Tulsa was really a buildup of, racial aggressions and just tensions over time. The purchase of the land was made in around 1906. The massacre didn't happen until 1921. So, there was certainly a lot of budding frustrations over time that just exploded towards, the end of that. But, we'll get into a bit of what happened later. So anyway, as I was saying, the white community was certainly, and it makes sense. They certainly became jealous of this extremely prominent community because, not only do you just have a black, a bunch of black people in their own space, but they're not just living. These people are thriving. It's like a modern day, like Dubai, where, these people are literally living the good life. And you have the white people in the neighboring community just seeing all these prominent people, and there is an extreme superiority complex within white Americans at this time. You still have the whole manifest destiny mindset where white people are the ones guiding the truth to the uncivilized, black people. You have these people just thinking that black people are inferior to their white counterparts, and you just have all these thoughts, all these aggressions that are just not being helped. And it's really not like how things are today, because you have the newspaper constantly calling this black community racial slurs in their articles. You have politicians insulting the people of this community. It was really this one segregated community thriving, and then you have everyone just hating on it from the outside. And over time that tension is gonna build up and build up and build up until it explodes. So the tragic history behind this Black Wall Street is, in 1921, a black man named Dick Rowland was in an elevator with an elevator operator named Sarah Page. And, he had permission to be in this building. This was not in Tulsa. This was in like the white community. And so anyway, Dick Rowland enters the elevator, and then so the history gets skewed up here because no one knows what really happened. But essentially there was a scream in the elevator. Dick Rowland runs out, and rumors start flying through, and the story is basically going on to say that Sarah was raped in this elevator. And so by the end of that day, that was really what the white people had heard, that this white girl got raped. And now remember, this is 1921, and a black man touching a white woman is literally like a death sentence if that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And so a mob of white people really started forming outside the courthouse. And by the next day, these people were not gonna wait for justice. There was the white police, or like the police, arrested Dick Rowland, and they were not trying. No one was trying to wait for the due process of the law, and the white people wanted them lynched like on the spot. Another thing that happened too was that the newspaper at the time, this white-controlled newspaper, essentially had written a call to action to this mob, and had said, this white woman has been raped. This is unacceptable. These black people have been out of control for so long. It's now time to take a stand. I meant to say, like, this is the time. These people have had it too good for too long. And after that news article came out, as I said, this mob had formed, and so they had wanted they wanted Dick Rowland, and so the black people of Black Wall Street were not trying to give him up and give one of their own up, and so they defended him. Important thing to note here is that history really gets ambiguous about some of these facts. For one, that newspaper article that had been this call to action is like can no longer be located. Like no one can find it. Even the original charges against like Dick Rowland are non-existent now. Like there was honestly there was certainly a cover-up to everything that happened, which even goes into like the name of this whole situation, because it was for a long time labeled off as a riot, which really does not which is an attempt to distort history, because going into the events that are going to happen, it was not a riot, it was a massacre. But I'll explain that in a sec. So anyway, they wanted Dick Rowland, or the white mob had wanted to take Dick Rowland and lynch him, and so the people of the Black Wall Street hit him off. I honestly don't even know what happened to him, so I can't speak on that. But so this white mob was forming, and so a few of the people in the black community, they did have a few arms and guns on hand, so they were trying to stand their ground. And so essentially an altercation happened where a black man had a gun, and so he had gotten into an argument with a white man. There was a struggle for the gun. The white man was shot by the black man. And after that, it was always gonna be hard to control this white mob. And so the people, and this was outside of Tulsa. And so another thing is that this white mob had greatly overpowered the black community. It was probably like a 10-to-1 ratio from like white to black. Especially talking about the people who are armed and willing to go out and fight. Another thing is that these white people they were children out there. Their families had raised these kids to say, we're about to go to this community and really do some damage, and all those kids are really with it. And another important thing to remember with that too is that these kids who are out there in the community were the people that grew up all through the 1900s or the 2000s and everything. These were the people that are still alive. So essentially the white mob had chased them back to Tulsa, and so the black community had boarded up the railroad to get into the community. But you're never gonna hold off this, this mob of angry white people, and so they had broken through pretty easily of the barricade into the city. And after that, it really started this massacre. So there, Black Wall Street had like these big, great communities, all these businesses and buildings, and they had burned 35 blocks down to the ground. It's reported that about 300 people were killed in this event, but again, history is very not clear on this, and it's probably more. There was they said about 800 people had been injured. Again, it's probably, those numbers are probably just not true, to be honest. And even to this day, a lot of the bodies are just not found. These people were completely given no justice. The white people were basically just going on site, burning things. They started throwing bombs onto the ground. This whole place literally went up in flames. Around like 1,000 people just no longer had a home, had to figure out their whole lives for themselves. They lost loved ones. And so, another terrible thing that happened was there was, all these businesses had insurance. They were prominent businesses, and there was close to $3 million worth of insurance claims, all denied. The people of this community didn't get a penny. There was no reparations. There were no sorries. It was actually just an atrocious act of, destroying people's lives and then getting no reconciliation for it. And even to this day, these people have not gotten the justice that they deserve. That's just the tragedy of it all. And even in terms of the history, I think I found out about this year, in 2020, with everything that's happened. And they don't even have like the justice of the knowledge to know exactly what happened to their loved ones, or exactly what happened to their communities, or even the justice of just like an apology, because there it was certainly, there's no denying of the blatant attack on people in this situation, and there was no remorse. So again, this was certainly a heavier topic, that I definitely wanted to, talk about on this channel. And I think now is, you're maybe wondering, why am I talking about this? Why is it important to me? One, being a very new Black entrepreneur, it would be a dream for me if I could work with other Black entrepreneurs and, develop something that they once had. If I could go to a place and see, what was already done before me and get inspiration and mentorship, that would be like a dream come true. But I can't, because this place was destroyed, and it was destroyed, and it, imagine that happening today. Like it wouldn't happen. I think Black people today would not allow a tragedy like this to happen. Not me. And that's where I think the changes in today is that something like that can't happen, or shouldn't happen, because at this point we're ready to take a stand more. We're ready to fight for what's ours. And I think going into the future, one, we got to start educating people on this, because it is certainly disappointing that this is something that you don't learn in schools. And I'm actually very big into history, and I'm not gonna go into the whole argument of like suppression and all that. But it's certainly one of those things that, like, once you learn, it's like, okay, well, like, that's definitely something that would be great to teach about. It's American history. Like why aren't those things in a textbook? And that history's written by the victor, and they're never gonna say something so embarrassing about that to students. I think for me, though, the most important reason that I think this is important is because it does inspire me to look towards the future. Honestly, being an entrepreneur, one of my dreams is to recreate a society similar to what they had in Tulsa, or North Carolina, of just the prominent communities, hopefully geared towards underrepresented persons, and the Black, Latinx, all these communities that are just not given the resources and necessities they need. Honestly, I just connect very easily with other Black people, and that's another thing to say, is that there's nothing wrong with being with people that are similar to you, because every street today is White Wall Street, and there's a million Jewish Wall Streets, and there's nothing wrong with that. The Jewish community is very good at sharing resources and helping each other out, and that's good. Other people need to learn from that. We always want to dodge around the race topic and say, oh, well, I'm not, that's awkward. Like you shouldn't exclude someone here. You shouldn't be thinking about race in this context. But working with your race can help out a lot. If you are getting information from the people that relate closer to you, it's only going to help. And so y'all hear this a million times, where we gotta start connecting with the community, being more together, and that is true. And so again, my dream is to help facilitate that within the Black community. There's a lot of already great people who are already doing it, a lot more than me, especially because I haven't officially launched my business yet, but going into the future, I think at least I think I have my vision clear, and it's help connect the community and understand what is come before us and how we can learn from our mistakes and how we can improve on them, because without history, we're doomed to repeat it. Thank y'all for listening. Again, if you like the channel, like, comment, subscribe. I could really use the help and support. Again, I'm still trying to get 25 subscribers. If I get those 25, I'm gonna interview my mom, who has been a nurse in the a rehab hospital for like 10 years. I don't even know how long she was working there, but combined with my dad, they raised me. They made me into the person I am today, and she's just a great person. So definitely support the channel. And if you like content like this, let me know, because this was certainly a video I was interested in making for a while, and I enjoyed doing the research on it. And if there's anything I can improve, please let me know. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, please let me know. So yeah, thanks for joining y'all, and like, comment, subscribe. Check me out on Instagram and check out the website, doughboys.org. Thanks y'all. Peace.